All right, Hannah, here we are again. Great to be in the room with you. Always love being able to.
Always a good conversation, Sam.
I know, always fun. Yeah. So, what I thought we could talk about today is last time we kind of started talking about the benefits of having bookkeeping in-house with your tax team. But one thing I wanted to touch on is this year we implemented that, right? What we implemented was having your bookkeepers and tax consultant really working hand in hand during tax planning meetings. And I kind of thought we could talk about how that went,
Absolutely. So bookkeepers and tax preparers, we do work hand in hand throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But previously, it was more heavily concentrated right around December, January, February, getting those year-end numbers cleaned up.
Yes.
So like you mentioned, we kind of switched that model to bring our bookkeepers in to meet with the tax consultants and our clients. So we have 2 tax planning meetings throughout the year. One's in the summer in June or July, and then the other is closer to year end. So November, December timeframe.
Yeah. I think why it was so awesome, why it worked well for me and my clients is because each month I'm touching it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I know if they took a large distribution. I know if they bought a piece of equipment. I know if they did XYZ, right?
Yes.
And so by sitting in on the meetings or helping the tax team even prep for those meetings, I'm able to quickly shift some numbers, shift some details over to them and say, hey, don't forget about this, don't forget about that. And then by being in the meeting, when questions come up about the books, the tax consultant can be focused on their projections, and I can be in QuickBooks, and I can be like, oh, yeah, this kind of sounds familiar, and I can pull it up right on the fly, or we can make adjustments, or...
That is a great point. Prior to having you in the meetings, I remember there was a lot of back and forth where, I'd have to make a note saying, hey, let me circle up with the bookkeeper. Let me see how this was treated. Let me see how things are looking. Let me see how this was recorded. But having you there, like you said, you know the answers. If you don't know them, you can find them on the fly.
Right.
And I just think it really just improves the relationship further between the tax team and then the small business side, between the account managers too.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think...
and I'm sure you've learned stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not a tax preparer, a tax professional by trade. So I'm sure you've even picked up on things.
I have learned a ton. And in fact, we do a people analyzer, right, internally each year at the end of the year to kind of and I was filling mine out today, and I looked at last year's goals, and my goal was to build a relationship with a tax consultant so I could grow and feel more informed, or at least have a baseline of knowledge, right, when I was talking to my clients. So I definitely feel like I gained that, and I definitely feel like my relationship with the tax consultants on my clients have really blossomed this year, and I've loved it.
Good. I am so glad to hear that.
I love it so much.
I think on the other side, my hope is that our clients feel that as well. They feel like we're, a little bit more well-rounded. We have great communication internally, and I hope our clients can see that synergy between departments, to know and to trust that when something happens on the bookkeeping side, the tax team is aware of it. Or, vice versa, tax effects, bookkeepers can understand how the tax effect of certain transactions and how things will shake out.
Yeah, and I think now by being in the meetings, I'm more aware of, okay, do I need to be looking for this PTE payment? Has it happened? Yes. So there's a couple sets of eyes, making sure our clients are getting these things paid. Or let's say in the September, October meeting, our clients start talking about the Augusta rule or the home office or...
Yeah, all those tax saving strategies.
Yeah.
You're learning these, I'm sure you're aware of them. You can help remind them, especially our dental clients, they're involved in the work, they're practicing dentistry. Right. They're not really thinking about the tax saving strategies that you can implement, anywhere throughout the year, but if you implement these strategies earlier in the year, it's not such a rush at year end.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say is like we are really proactive about getting that done this year instead of waiting. And I know sometimes our clients don't know kind of the work that goes in on the back end to like getting books prepared for tax prep or what journal entries the tax team is sending over to the bookkeeper to make. But by doing it in advance and kind of like as things are happening, even like knowing about estimates that come out of the personal account, like keeping tabs on all of that stuff. I mean, like, I think preparing ahead and being in the loop ahead of time it's really going to save a lot of time, and we're going to be able to get things filed earlier instead of later.
Yeah, I think that is key
Yeah.
because, I mean, when it comes down to it, our clients they're not aware about all the work that goes into it. At the end of the day, they want their tax return. And cleaner books equals a quicker turnaround for your tax return.
Exactly.
So if you're keeping up with books on a monthly basis, if you're in close contact with a tax consultant to keep up on things, we can get those returns knocked out a lot quicker than if there's, if the client handles bookkeeping internally themselves, or if we at Duckett Ladd, if we didn't have a strong relationship between our bookkeepers and tax consultants, that could also delay the process. So I really think we've made some good moves to kind of rope everyone in, get everyone on the same page, create efficiencies, and at the end of the day, create a better deliverable for our clients.
Yep.
All right. Well, Sam, it's always a pleasure.
Always my pleasure, Hannah.